The contracts are not going to be the fake ones. They're going to be very vague most of the time. They're not going to have specific names like general managers. They're not going to have the player's name on there. And then usually they're not as complex. There's some that are just one-page contracts, and it's just there's no way that could be a real one. We have Scott Henderson, who was a team owner and GM of a team that played in the PBL. And Scott, do you want to give us a rundown of your situation, what happened on your China tour?
Sure. I think the first thing I would say is this, just always buyer beware, because if it is a legitimate opportunity, they are probably never going to ask you to pay for anything. We took our entire team to China this last May in 2015. One of the reasons that they get you to come over is because supposedly you'll be seen by coaches and scouts and things like that. That was not our experience at all. The only agent that we knew that were at the games was the agent that set up our trip, and he ended up to not be an honest guy. He had, after we had played, I think, 2 or 3 games, he had committed in front of all of our players that 3 players were going to have jobs in South America. And, big congratulations and everything took place. And for the players that didn't get the jobs, he gave them either Androids or iPhones as kind of a hang in their gift. Well, the reality was that once the guys started to try to charge the phones, they were fake, they didn't work, and ultimately the players that he said had jobs in South America, not one player had a job. And this was a FIBA agent. This was a guy that supposedly was trustworthy, kind of knew what he was doing. He was anything but that. I think there's many just like him. I don't think he's alone out there. He was, and one of the things that he did with us, obviously, again, buyer beware, I lost quite a bit of money on that trip, and it was only because he didn't stay the entire time. He went home, said his son got sick or anything, or something like that. And the reason he went home early was so they didn't have to pay me.
Yeah, you told me when we talked a couple of days ago when we made that post about anybody that wanted to give input. You gave me that guy's name. He was Jose Traverso. I actually looked him up. He's not a FIBA agent anymore, so I'm guessing they either lost that credibility or something happened. He's trying to pull some schemes on some other people.
What if a player wanted to contact you to get a reference on a camp or suggestions on a camp?
Sure. They could email me. My email address, it's real easy. It's SW Henderson, HENDERSON, the number 54 at Comcast.net.
Hey, Prescott, how you doing?
Good. How are y'all?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us. I know you're out there on a legit tour out there in Mexico taking care of business. But
yeah,
I had to get your story, man. I know you got into kind of a run-in with a guy with some camps. You want to basically tell everybody a little bit of what happened with that guy?
Yeah. So I was involved with an agency I'm a young agent. I'm 25, and so I when I first started my career, I dealt with a couple agencies and was working for other agencies. What made this camp a scam was they didn't have drivers, so that's what started it off. But because I worked for this company, I was determined to make the camp still go on. So I drove. Me and my wife drove to pick up each player and each coach to make sure that the camp went on. Then the next problem was the guy that was running the camp did not pay the gym, so it was up to me to beg the gym to allow us to still use the gym without being paid, because we had all these players there. So they were gracious enough to still allow us to use that gym and to go on with the camp without being paid. The first day of the camp is just basically training. So the first day goes actually really well. Now the second day is when we have the issues because the person didn't pay the refs. And he was also supposed to fly in, but supposedly he got sick. Just like the guy before me said that a guy left claiming that his son got sick. It seems like that's the national scam excuse. But he got sick, so he didn't show up. And so then we get to Sunday, and same stuff is still going on. Now the gym doesn't want to let us in because they still haven't gotten their payment. Referees are still not wanting to referee. One person being greedy ruined all of that. And so that was the situation in Dallas for the camp was called Bridge to Pros.
Go back real quick to the Bridge to Pros. First of all, I believe that guy's name was it David Untied? I don't know if that's how you say it.
David Untied. He runs Aspire Sports Management. He's still doing it, still kicking. I just actually saw an event he's supposed to be doing in Europe. My social media, just search Prescott Mack on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm MSG Agency, at MSG Agency. Also, my camp company is at IBI Camps. I would just advise players to make sure that they pray about it first and make sure it's a legit opportunity and do your research, contact whoever you trust, and make sure that that someone is double checking and triple checking the legitimacy of the camp or of the tour.
Contact an agent, possibly a coach that you really trust. I think that's really good advice because you have to know somebody that's been there before, somebody that's played overseas, and so that they could look at the contract and they could kind of assess the situation.